Could this be the end of Doncaster Reptile Show? Now, if you don't know what Doncaster Reptile Show actually is, here in the UK, we get one reptile show 4 times a year. It's the IHS Doncaster Reptile Show. Now, it's basically just, it's not a show where you can go there and see all the animals. It's a show where you can go there and pick up your dream animal. It's basically like a big hall with loads of breeders there, and they're breeding specific animals for specific reasons, and you can physically go there, and it's a place where you can pick up your dream animal. Not only pick up your dream animal, but you can also physically see all the animals. So you can go there and see all the animals. You can go and speak to all the breeders that are guaranteed to be a lot more knowledgeable than you are. You can ask them questions to better improve your knowledge on the care of those specific species. It's just a really good place to go, and I socialise a lot there. So I'll go there and speak to all the brands, the lighting companies, the bioactive plant growers, the clean-up crew growers. Peregrine are there for their live food and how I can make my live food healthier to better care for my animals. It's just a lot of people there that you can speak to, and a lot of animals there that you can physically see and purchase if you so feel that you can. Now, there's an organisation, a charitable organisation, that have just handed in a petition of 75,000 plus names to stop Doncaster Racecourse hosting Doncaster Reptile Show. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to achieve with this, because they'll just move to another venue. It's really not a big issue. But they go on to mention a lot of stuff. It seems like World Animal Protection UK is basically a hate terrorist group against keeping reptiles. Although they're into animal care and animal loving, they don't seem to think that with reptiles. I don't think they understand the benefits of captive bred. I mean, they even step on their own toes a few times on their Facebook page by saying Doncaster Reptile Show hosts thousands of captive bred wild animals. But they're two totally different things, wild animals and captive bred. So you can't use that one sentence all in the same thing. I mean, we'll talk about the benefits of captive bred to start with. The likes of, let's say, green tree pythons. They live on average 12 years longer in captivity, and that's solely because they don't have any natural disasters, they don't have any predators, they eat a healthier, much more balanced diet. They just have all the enrichment and everything in enclosures just like that. I mean, I can see their knowledge being that the animals are kept in little tiny tubs and stuff like that. Well, those times have passed. You must be getting your research from videos from 2008, Brian Barczyk. Whereas now, this is the sort of setup that is generally accepted in the reptile hobby. That's a green tree python just sat up there. We've got mourning gecko breeding colonies down there. Now, again, with the mourning geckos, they're near enough extinct in the wild. But yet, in captivity, they're thriving. They're living longer. They're eating healthier. Captive bred animals shouldn't be in the wild. And the animals that are coming in through poaching and stuff like that, yes, I agree, we don't bring in wild animals. But Doncaster Reptile Show also don't promote that. The same with Royal Python morphs. There's an awful lot out there on their Facebook page, World Animal Protection UK, saying that thousands of bull pythons. I mean, if you're in the UK, it's Royal Python. Just say that. Don't use bull python as an American term in the UK when you're trying to aim all your attention to the UK. Sorry, I could see myself getting a little bit flustered here. But they say thousands of bull pythons are shipped and contained at Doncaster Racecourse for the duration of these shows. Thousands of them are sold. And they go on to mention how different morphs, they're bred slightly different to get different morphs and colour patterns, which can be detrimental to the health of the animal. Now, if you do a little bit, just literally 5 minutes worth of research on the IHS website, you'll know that it's not just bull pythons that suffer with that. There's so many other animals. Jungle jag carpet pythons, for one, just for an instance. And the IHS Doncaster Reptile Show has banned the sale of these animals 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago for the Royal Python spider gene, but they've banned the sale of them in their show. They're policing their own show. They don't need a terrorist organisation to be able to police it for them. It's just, it winds me up a little bit. 75,000 people have signed this petition to stop Doncaster Racecourse, but I can guarantee those people are not animal or not reptile enthusiasts. They even go on their Facebook page to show animal abuse. That on its own is just triggering emotion to some people to get them to bullied into signing these sorts of things. Now, there's a lot of people that are against this, so maybe we should do a petition against this order. I can guarantee if we do every animal lover, every reptile lover to keep Doncaster Racecourse knowing the way forward with Doncaster Racecourse and all reptile expos, how they're policing it themselves with their own different morphs, genetics. You can't sell wild caught animals, you can't sell poached animals, wild farmed animals, you can't sell deadly neurological issued animals. You can't, I mean, Doncaster Racecourse has got its own vets walking around the show. If they spot an animal that's up for sale that isn't up to health, that animal isn't going to get sold. That will get taken off display, it'll get taken back, and it'll get taken care of before it goes up for sale. Now, it does go on to mention about backyard breeders and stuff like that, but I don't want to really comment on that because I don't know what their definition of a backyard breeder is. I mean, there's loads of little companies out there that breed various animals to sell. I mean, you take the looks of my morning gecko enclosure just here. There's 15 morning geckos in there. It's a big enclosure for them because the morning geckos are only sort of this sort of size anyway. But they've got a genetic trait called parthenogenesis that isn't that active in the wild. However, in captivity, it's booming because they're a lot more healthier, happier, a lot less scared of natural disasters and predators. They feel comfortable in laying their eggs. They don't need a male to reproduce. And that is on its own keeping this species alive in the wild and in captivity. It's the same for like crested geckos. There's only a small area of land in the wild that's actually got crested geckos. If that land gets deforestation, if deforestation happens in that little area, that's it. Crested geckos are wiped out completely, just gone. We actually keep them thriving in captivity. And the people that breed them keep that species alive in captivity. What's the issue with that? The animals live twice as long. They're happier, and they show that they're happier. How do they show they're happier? By the way they move, by the way they eat, by the way they basically interact with their enclosure. You get an enclosure that's fully enriched, just like this, fully live planted with the natural plants that they would get in the natural habitat. They're just going to thrive massively. He's got an active UV setup there where it replicates the best quality sun that they would naturally see in the wild. So that's giving off the exact UV rays that would benefit that animal massively. Now in the wild they won't get that. The sun's either going to be too much, too little. It's very rarely going to be absolutely perfect. If it's too much, they have to hide away. If it's too little, they have to go into the sun and really try and bask and put themselves in danger of predatory attack. Here in captivity, that's just set perfectly for them for the duration that that light's on. In this enclosure, it's on for 12 hours a day and it's off for 12 hours a day, giving them the day and night routine. There's just so much to go on with this thing. I'd highly recommend you go there and leave your comments. I would appreciate seeing your comments. There are a few big names that are in the comments. Chris Newman, for one, he's the owner, I think he's the owner, or he operates a big national centre for rescuing reptiles, and he's got a ton of tortoises, turtles, loads of other reptile related things. Hell, he's just had a few crocodiles come in as well. He's a big advocate against this solely because of everything that I've already explained. The people that are putting this plan forward don't actually know reptiles. They don't know the benefits of captivity. Granted, I think I'm the same as the majority of you guys watching this video, where we say wild caught animals shouldn't be brought into captivity. I think that's a fair, clean line. They just shouldn't happen. Now, there are people out there in the likes of West Africa that will capture either a gravid female and let her lay the eggs in a ranch. Now, these ranches can be 1 million hectares wide. They can be absolutely huge. It's their natural habitat, just in a different location that's more managed. So it's going to be away from predators. When they've laid their eggs, they will go there, they'll pick up the eggs, and they'll incubate the eggs secondary. So they'll take them into an incubator, let them hatch, and then they've got sort of captive farms. That's still a grey area, just solely because do you agree with it, do you not agree with it? Because that, I suppose that could be classed as F1, captive bred, but either way, that should still not really happen. There's enough royal pythons and there's enough species in captivity now to keep the animal population in the pet trade at a nice stable level. So we don't really need to bring in wild animals, which doesn't really happen now anyway. People that are caught poaching these wild animals, they have severe consequences to do with them, and there's more finances and more people going into capturing those poachers, which is understandable, and I agree with that. But trying to stop a reptile show from selling captive bred animals, knowing that they're going to be healthier and live longer and live better in captivity than what they do in the wild. I mean, why would you want to release a captive animal into the wild? I mean, it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work. Far too much can go wrong. Far too much can happen. The animals are a lot better and healthier. We've got to also think of illness as well. I mean, the likes of, again, the green tree. I'm only using the green tree python over there solely because you can't really see some of the other animals because my big head's in the way. But vets, if that animal falls ill, there's so many more reasons of how it could fall ill in the wild. It could eat an animal that's not going to agree with him. It could eat an animal that's been eating something poisonous which could potentially poison him. In captivity, we don't have that sort of stuff. But if anything like that did happen, we can then have the vets. We have got the treatment available to be able to treat a sick animal. You don't get that in the wild. These animals live longer, they live better in captivity, providing they are captive bred. Now, if you did want to put a load of money into helping the animals, like your organisation says it should, why don't you put your money into the natural habitat? Keeping the natural habitat safe, keeping the natural habitat away from poachers, instead of being internet bullies. World Animal Protection UK, I've linked them in the description down below. Take note, do your research. My name's Richard, this channel's called Northern Exotics. We talk all things reptile related. If it's something you're interested in, I'd appreciate it if you did subscribe.